Hit the shower, grab your coffee, and get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week. All before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, brought to you by the Apollo Cafe on Brady Street. 25 years of Greek tradition. Enjoy gyros, souvlaki, fresh salads, and the legendary Zeus burger. Dine in, take out, or get it delivered. Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? Like the big voice lady just said, this is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network's studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. My name is Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke on the other side of the glass there, the Wisconsin Warlock. It is a very, very snowy morning here in Hales Corners for us. Jack, how was the drive into work today?
It was a bit, treacherous. You got to stay a little bit under the speed limit, and people need to remember how to drive in winter weather.
Exactly. I think a lot of people have to have that reset each season, each year. It feels like that they go into winter and are kind of a little bit confused about how to drive, how to not brake instead of braking, all these other little tips and tricks.
Can't be
learn.
Tokyo drifting out here, you know?
I mean, you can a little bit if you're good at it.
Yeah,
I would say I'm pretty good at drifting into the left lane when it's snowy, when you're turning right. But at the same time, it's got to be a situation where I want everybody to be safe out on the roads. One thing, I'm going to rant a little bit. I'm going to complain a little bit to start off the show here. Thank you, first of all, to everybody that goes out with your snowplow on your truck. It's a huge help. It's something that I think some people don't think about very often during winter, but there's people going from 5 a.m. till 5 a.m. basically every day, all day, just going and plowing the streets for us when we have days like this, weekends like this. At the same time, how are there not any plows out already this morning?
Yeah.
Ready for this? We knew this was happening for like a week, and I haven't seen a single plow out.
The Midwest is usually ready for this, and we are lacking today.
Seems like we came in a little unprepared, even though everybody seemed to be well prepared for this storm coming into this weekend. Well, to help you stay inside, get cozy, go grab a cup of coffee, go grab a cup of hot chocolate. This is a perfect time, weather for it. Jack and I got you covered to keep you entertained during that time for the next couple of hours here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend. We are going to dive into the Green Bay Packers' big win over the Detroit Lions on Thursday, Thanksgiving. It was an awesome game from the Packers, probably their best game of the season, Jack, I would probably say.
Offensively and defensively, it looked like the most complete game the Packers have had. You couldn't have written a better Hollywood script. Everything I wanted to see happen in that game, everything we talked about in the previous week, that look, they held destiny in their hands. And if they want to be the top dog and beat your Bears, this is the type of statement game they had to make. And they went into enemy territory, and you could hear "Go Pack Go" chants in the third quarter. That's what I love to see.
We're going to break down how that game went on Thursday and our expectations for games moving forward here. We're also going to dive into the Milwaukee Bucks. Yesterday was for Giannis Antetokounmpo's first game back into the lineup for the Bucks, and it still resulted in a loss for Milwaukee. We're going to dive into that as well. Talk about the Chicago Bears winning yesterday over the Philadelphia Eagles, something the Packers couldn't do a few weeks ago. Is this a situation where the Chicago Bears are a little scarier than I think people expected they were before the season? At 10 o'clock, we're going to dive into an out-of-bounds interview, something that me and Jack are trying to get started here, where we dive into different sports from across the state of Wisconsin that you may not be talking about, may not be hearing about all the time. Kevin Fodry, pro disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc Golf, will be joining Wisconsin Sports Weekend and Jack and I on the show here on video. So tune in to @WI Sports Radio on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever you got your social medias. We are on there, and you can find us live streaming on YouTube and Twitter, and you can meet Kevin Fodry that way. At 10:20, we're going to dive into Warlock's Locks as usual. And to close off the show, we got the Wisconsin Sports Weekend Pub Crawl. Let's head back into that Green Bay Packers game from Thursday, though, Jack. And the main question I want to ask you, so you can hop in on those social medias, again, at WI Sports Radio, or on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250-1250 to get in on the show. After having a phenomenal performance where they took care of business against the Detroit Lions on Thanksgiving, how repeatable do you think that performance is for the rest of the season? Not just the regular season, but the playoffs as well. Jack, going into that game yesterday, somebody that we saw stand out big time, and more so than we've seen him stand up as big since like 2 seasons ago at the end of the season. Dontavian Wicks had himself a game.
I'm glad you brought him up because that's the first person on this team I wanted to talk about. Wow. Shades of Devontae Adams. Do we have a wide receiver 1 blooming?
I don't know. I feel like we're a little too early.
One game is not enough.
One game is not enough in my mind.
This is the Dontavian Wicks I've been waiting for. He commanded the ball, went out, made hand catches instead of body catches. Man, on 3rd down and 4th down, that man was a beast. And it's the first time he's healthy now. No head injuries. This is kind of what Packer fans saw glimpses of over the past 2 years. Is that great route runner, really big bodied, fast wide receiver, great hands, just never could really put together some consistency. So I think that's my hope. But Dontavian Wicks and Jordan Love, the connection looked real. And if you can continue that going in to December and January, wow, the Packers are going to be a tough team to beat.
For sure. And I think that Dontavian Wicks, when watching his style of play, I think it lends itself to playing against a weaker defense, which isn't anything bad for Dontavian Wicks, in my opinion. I saw somebody break it down on Twitter like this yesterday. There's a difference between talented players and star players. Everybody in the NFL is talented to some degree. All those guys are freaks of nature. They're massive. They are just out here doing things that no normal human being can just go and picture themselves doing at any given point. But the real key to becoming a star player is doing those things that you know you can do, being as talented as you are on a consistent basis. And right now, we're just not seeing that from a Dontavian Wicks. You're not seeing that from anybody realistically in this Packers offense besides maybe a Christian Watson in that wide receiver room. And Christian Watson is really just kind of that safety net so far for Jordan Love since he's come back from the surgery and been a part of this team for the past 6 weeks or so. This has been a situation where I think the Packers need somebody else to also be as consistent as a Christian Watson. Christian Watson can go out there and do his job. He had a touchdown in that game on Thursday as well. He goes and is just going to be consistent, but I think there's points where a guy like that, when he's been as injured as he has in the past, you don't want to rely as heavily on a player like that. So having games like this where Dontavian Wicks can go out there and have 2 touchdowns, be the number 1 receiver, or a different week where Romeo Doubs can go in and be that number 1 wide receiver and kind of give Christian Watson a little bit of that break where he gets his consistent 6 to 7 targets with 4 to 5 catches for 60 plus yards and a touchdown. Christian Watson can do that on a weekly basis. What we can't have is him getting 15 targets and 10 catches. And yeah, he has a great game, but then he ends that game with a torn ACL again because Jordan Love can't go out there and trust a Dontavian Wicks, can't go out there and trust a Romeo Doubs or Malik Heath or Bo Melton at points in this game to do their jobs as consistently. And I think that if we can see from the wide receiver room what we saw in this game where everybody can go out there and just be consistent, this should be a lot of fun for the rest of the year. The problem is that the Lions defensive back room isn't matching up to any of the teams you're about to play, Jack.
I think you're totally hit the head on the nail there. They need a bookend. They need another bookend wide receiver, whether that's a Dontavian Wicks or like Nick says on our dugout, he's looking forward to getting Jaden Reed back. So maybe Jaden Reed can come back in. And I think what you're kind of showing the formula that the Packers wide receiver room is built on is, hey, we have a bunch of guys that could be wide receiver 2s or wide receiver 1s. And we're going to let the game dictate who we attack defenses with, whether it's a Christian Watson, whether it's a Dontavian Wicks, whether it's Jaden Reed, or hopefully a healthy Matthew Golden in a couple weeks. You need to find someone to bookend that consistency with Christian Watson that needs to fill that Tucker Kraft role, because that's a huge missing piece to this offense.
Well, and I think what helps with that a little bit is that a guy like Josh Jacobs is healthy for the first time. I know he hobbled out of this game a little bit halfway through.
He's tough.
A little bit. He is a tough son of a gun, man. Like that is, he goes out there and just plays football. Like that is a football player. I mean, there's a lot of those guys on this team.
He's diabolical
out there every single week and feels like he's losing his arm every single week. He says, this is a situation where I think a game like this proves that this Green Bay Packers team can go out there and find a game plan against a very good team in the Detroit Lions. I know they're struggling with injuries. I know they're kind of wishy-washy with their play calling at this point, but that is still a very talented roster over there in Detroit. To go out there and play in as even of a football game as the Packers did, That's how the best teams survive in this league. That's how you stay healthy in this league, is not by abusing the run and getting all your offensive linemen hurt and your running back hurt, which is kind of what we saw earlier in this season. You
Banged
saw
up.
that team, they were trying to buy into that run game so much. And then they'd have those 1 to 2 weeks in between 3 weeks of running the ball super heavy where they would throw the ball 40 times. And then you'd see a wide receiver get hurt. You see Jordan Love have to scramble out of the pocket and take a hit that he's not used to. When you can run an offense like this, where you are what feels like running a 50-50 split for a majority of that game, not only does that keep Jordan Love out of harm's way more often versus when he's throwing the ball 40 times, or Josh Jacobs out of harm's way more often when he's running the ball 28 times, you take it out of their hands a little bit, but still give them enough time to warm up and get that feeling for when there are games where you do have to throw the ball 35 times if you're Jordan Love, but you're ready to do that if you did it 25 times in the game before. And you could do that consistently versus doing it 17 times in that game before. And now all of a sudden you got to throw it for 40 times. This is the type of offense that I think this team can run moving forward. I think Matt LaFleur is starting to kind of feel that out. My biggest worry now, though, is that if you get people like Matthew Golden back, if you get players like Jaden Reed back, does he all of a sudden go back to trying to be too smart and do too much? Or is this just what you stick with, Jack?
So I think that's a valid question. Like, how does that change the wide receiver room? How does that change the offensive output? I think they're starting to trust Jordan Love, which is what I saw in that game. Is I don't think Jordan Love could have stepped up in the pocket. A lot of those throws, the untrained eye thinks, oh, he has lots of time back there. He was in a phone booth half the time on a back leg throwing 30 yards on dots. So
Anthony Belton, the rookie right guard, gave up 6 pressures in this game.
Yeah.
So that was something that we noticed before too.
Sure. And as a lineman, it's hard to keep that quarterback up and give him the ability to have that extra second to get that secondary open for that wide receiver to come open off the secondary. And I don't think even at the start of this year, Jordan was making or had the confidence to make those throws. I mean, you go 3 for 3 on 4th downs. I did not have that in my wheelhouse for this Packer team. Just some of the things that we are able to do on money downs with Jordan Love. It started to hear my family members that are questioning whether he's elite or if we paid him too much. That was a game where we had to go out and win. And Jordan Love, we had to see Jordan Love do something more than just a beeline, I think Matt LaFleur is now confident enough in Jordan Love throwing down the field and mixing in that run game that I'm not too worried about when we get a Jaden Reed back, when we get a Matthew Golden back. I think that those are just going to add to Jordan Love's ability to find the open man. And I think that's what we've been kind of talking about is the Packers' success in this passing game is going to be feeding a lot of different people and balance. And I think that's what Jordan Love is strongest at right now in his game.
I get where you're coming from. And I guess my next question then is, and this is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. We are asking you, do you think the Packers' performance from Thursday is going to be able to carry on for the rest of this season if they can run that game plan and still be successful for the rest of the year? Is that something that's repeatable for them? You can answer that at WI Sports Radio on YouTube and Twitter, where we are live streaming, or on any of our social medias where we put the question up. You can also hit us up at the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250, 1250. That's the one thing I'm worried about. And what I noticed in this game against the Detroit Lions is that, to your point, Jordan Love did feel like he was in a phone booth for a lot of that game, but also felt like he was super poised in that pocket as well. He wasn't deterred by the fact that he had a hand or a person kind of 5 feet in front of him. That was really close. I also feel like, though, a lot of this game, the reason that he was stuck in that phone booth is because the play calls that were drawn up led to a receiver getting open later on in the play. And I guess for me, I don't know if that is something that is Matt LaFleur designed to the point where if you were to give Jordan Love players who get open earlier or players that you have 2 to 3 guys that are open earlier, does he get into the situation where, shoot, I've been listening to Matt LaFleur, I've been running his play calls, I'm throwing it to that kind of that one guy that's going to be open because he knows he's going to be open if I have the time, to all of a sudden, oh, I have 3 open guys. What do I do? He kind of panics a little bit in situations like that. So I guess that's what I get a little bit worried about. But at the same time, to your point before, these weapons should just give him more options. And if Jordan Love is feeling the trust from a Matt LaFleur coming over that way, it shouldn't lead to him freaking out. He's Joe Cool out there, Jordan Love is. He's able to go out there and have this demeanor of, you know what, I can make a mistake and I'll be okay, which not a lot of players have that type of demeanor. A lot of guys freak out once they make one mistake. And you look at the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell as an example. The way he coaches that team is, oh, shoot, we're behind. We just got to be super aggressive and figure things out. And I guess that's what I get a little worried about when Jordan Love gets more weapons. Is he going to get into that mindset of, oh, shoot, I have so many options that I don't know what option to pick?
In the past, I think that has been an issue where he kind of plays it like a young kid plays NCAA football. This is the hot route, and that's the first guy I'm staring at. And if he gets open, I'm throwing to him, and you just miss the 80% of the field that's happening in front of you. I do think that this year, and maybe you're an unbiased non-Packer fan, so I think you can speak to this if I'm being biased, but he looks way more calm in the pocket. It looked like even in previous years when a team would go down and score right after we scored, I feel like it's like, okay, well, now I've got to make a big play. And I saw more of an Aaron Rodgers in Jordan Love in that, okay, we're going to have a long drive. I'm going to hit my spots and we're going to matriculate the ball for 6 to 7 minutes, 8-10 play drive, and we're going to get in the end zone. That's kind of what you and I were worried about. It's like, okay, when he gets in the red zone, everything gets tighter. He was able to hit those windows, and he does look very calm this year. Even under duress, he looks like he isn't sweating. So if the Packers can give him the 3.2 seconds in the pocket and he builds on this confidence, there's maybe one team that you're a fan of that I think could give us trouble, but we're going to find out in the next 3 weeks.
For sure. And I think this is a situation where this next stretch of games against two against the Bears, you got the Denver Broncos, who are a very good football
defense,
team.
Yeah.
The Baltimore Ravens have this ability to just kind of turn it on whenever they want. So far this season, they don't turn it on. They've been kind of dormant throughout the year, but that's still a team roster-wise that worries me a little bit if they're healthy going into that game. And then Minnesota, you have to end off the season here. You're going to have some battles in these last 5 weeks of the season. I think this Green Bay Packers team has to take what they did against the Detroit Lions, a very good football team, then they would be able to take on any of these opponents. Teams like the Bears, who, yes, are playing very good right now, but also aren't very experienced. Their star defensive players, Nashawn Wright, a guy who wasn't playing football, feels like, for the past 3 years. His name was never said by any other team. It felt like that this is a situation where the Bears are riding high, and the Packers just have a system that we saw work against the Detroit Lions, that if they can go out there and systematically just dismantle the Chicago Bears, that takes away that confidence and only adds on to that. Our guy Nick in the dugout chat over there says, if we swap out Belton, he'd have more time in the pocket. Nick, I promise you he will not, because the person they're switching him out for is Jordan Morgan, and Jordan Morgan cannot block for his life. Jordan Morgan is a guy that probably needs to be at tackle, and even at tackle, I don't feel like this is a situation where he is an option for this team. Anthony Belton is the best option. He is out there for a reason right now. This past 2 weeks has proven that for the team.
He's won that trial.
Nick also says no chance the Bears run all over the Packers defense like they did the Eagles. I would also say the contrary to that too. Devontae Wyatt, their star defensive tackle that has been the majority of that run defense so far this season, is out for the rest of the season with a broken ankle. This is a situation where they're going to have to find somebody quickly to
Carl
fill that
Brooks
gap.
is going to have to step in there and do something and get healthy quick, because we've been talking about Devontae Wyatt for a while now as one of our favorite D linemen on this team, and that he's kind of the sauce that makes things taste well on that front seven. And so, I'm a little worried about that. But I think as long as you have Micah Parsons and a Lucas Van Ness and a Rashawn Gary coming back healthy, I think we still have the capability against the run. I do pump the brakes on saying the Bears won't be able to run it against us, because they have a very good run game.
To Nick's defense, so at that same point, that was the first game where they were consistently able to run the ball that well.
True.
They've had their moments, and in the red zone, they run the ball really well so far this season. Again, Monagai has been a really good option for them later on in the stretch here. But this is also a situation where it's not only the running backs for the Green Bay or for the Chicago Bears, their offensive line is really solid too. They're probably one of the best offensive lines in the league. So that's something you have to worry about, even though the Packers defense line can be pretty solid too. This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen, that's Jack Pembroke over there, and we are powered by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. When we come back, we wanted to dive into a little bit of the Milwaukee Bucks and their loss last night to the New York Knicks, which makes it 7 straight losses, and what you think this team needs to improve on fast before the midway point of the season. Again, it is Wisconsin Sports Weekend. We will be right back. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports Weekend. I'm Charlie Uczen, that is Jack Pembroke over there, and we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor right there on historic Brady Street. We do want to dive into the Bucks here, but real quick, we're going to go back to the last segment. We're talking about the Green Bay Packers and how that game went on Thanksgiving. We got our guy Randy in Grafton on the line here. If you want to be like Randy, call us at 414-677-1250. Again, 414-677-1250. Get on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Randy, how you doing, my man?
Well, thank you, and thank you for being on the air this morning. I'm going to break one of my own caller rules and try to commingle a couple of questions here because I think they're related to the special teams. First off, I'm kind of curious in terms of Bisaccia. Does he have special duties as an assistant head coach? Does he get paid more? And given the performance of the special teams, why does he still hold that title and not concentrate on the special teams? With that being said, to be more specific, I apologize if you've addressed this already, but I haven't gotten an answer. Was there a reason they were kicking the ball into the end zone the first half of the game? And then subsequently, it's pretty clear they seem to be kicking it in the field of play. I don't understand why they were kicking it into the end zone. Was that a Bisaccia call, or was that McManus just missing it? Any thoughts on that?
For sure. I think the biggest thing with this is to remember that Brandon McManus hasn't been healthy. I think that's kind of the biggest thing for a majority of the season, that he's been in and out of this roster, the lineup for each of these games. He's when kicking hasn't been the most effective as we've seen him in the past. I really think those first three kickoffs of the game on Thursday were a mistake by Brandon McManus. He's coming into this situation as the number one kicker for the first time in a while. It's been him and Lucas Havrasik, and both those guys have been fighting for that spot. So I think in a situation like this, it's Brandon McManus just feeling the nerves a little bit. And then to your question about Rich Bisaccia gets paid $1 million. Like, that's a lot more than most special team coordinators are paid in that situation. He is a guy that I think personally, I blame a lot of these special team struggles that the Green Bay Packers have on him. But at the same time, the special teams for the Green Bay Packers in the past 25 seasons has consistently been one of the bottom 5, bottom 6 teams in the league. This is not something that's brand new for this Green Bay Packers team. So as much as I want to blame Bisaccia, I don't know if it is 100% his fault or the personnel. At the same time, he's getting paid a lot of money to help this unit be successful, and he's just not doing that up to the level that I think people are expecting him to. And the other side of things is, if you want to let go of him, you have to get rid of $1 million guaranteed, to Jack's point over there. I mean, this is a situation where the Packers really tied their hands.
I think to add to that is he also brought in Josh Jacobs and a lot of other guys from the Raiders that love him. So I agree with Randy. It was definitely disheartening to see us kind of just kick it into the end zone and be like, well, we're just going to give them the ball at the 35-yard line and that's going to be okay. But it didn't hurt us at the end of the day. But those are great questions. And you've been asking the same questions I've been asking for 3 years about Rich Bisaccia.
Do we answer them good, Randy?
Yeah. Am I being too picky or sensitive?
No, not at all.
And I ask about why should he have this extra title? And I'm assuming there's no duties. I feel as a fan somewhat insulted in that he continues to get paid what he is and still has that title when I don't know if it comes along with any extra money. Am I carrying, or do I have too high a bar for what I expect out of the special teams? Am I being too picky there or too sensitive to how I view Bisaccia?
Not at all, Randy.
I don't think you're being sensitive personally. I think I listened to Rich Bisaccia, or I listened to people that are fans of this Green Bay Packers team, and it's so hard to not nitpick on the special teams when the rest of the team is playing well, when the defense looks like a Super Bowl caliber group, when the offense looks like it can find its grooves more often than not. this is a situation where you automatically jump to the special teams. I think the other question you have to ask with a Rich Bisaccia in this situation is more so, why is he given that assistant head coach title? And I think the reason is because Matt LaFleur has 3 different titles. He's the head coach, but he's also calling plays, and he's also helping out the offensive coordinator. And Adam Stenovich is the offensive coordinator, but also helping out majority of the time with the offensive line. A lot of the coaches on the staff are doing multiple things, which I don't think is as traditional as some of these other organizations. But at the same point, if Matt LaFleur feels comfortable calling the plays and also still being the head coach of this team, then Rich Bisaccia should feel comfortable having that assistant head coach job while also being the special teams coordinator. I don't think it's wrong for you to feel kind of beat down by the fact that Bisaccia has both those titles. It's weird that he has both those titles, and neither one of them seem to be doing their job right now. So I don't blame you at all.
Has he been asked about the kick into the end zone? I mean, you speculated that it was McManus that made the mistake, but has Bisaccia been asked that question? Are you aware he's been asked that question? And because I think it's a fair one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I think that's completely fair too. Thanks for calling, Randy. Don't be a stranger, my man. I think with Rich Bisaccia, the first thing we have to realize is that he has not talked after the game yet. Matt LaFleur was the only one that talked, and then the players. That was directly after the game, and then they got Friday off, and they're given the weekend off. So they don't talk until Tuesday, I believe, this upcoming week. So this is a situation where we have to wait a little while to hear what Rich Bisaccia has to say about it. But at the same time, again, I think it's fair to worry and wonder about those things when the rest of the team feels like they're at that championship caliber, Jack.
All valid points. Thanks, Randy. We love intelligent calls.
Exactly. And since we've been talking about the Green Bay Packers a lot here, let's stick with them a little bit. We'll talk about the Bucs in the next segment here. But the Chicago Bears yesterday afternoon took care of business. I think even more taking care of business than the Packers did against the Lions. Bears took care of business against the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that the Green Bay Packers struggled mightily against offensively a couple weeks ago, Jack.
I am going to take this moment to apologize publicly to you for calling the Chicago Bears a fraudulent team.
Yeah, I called them a fraudulent team too, though. And this was awesome. I was so excited watching them beat the Eagles yesterday. They looked like a real football team for the first time in a while.
I was going to text you, and I was like, no. Let him enjoy this.
Exactly.
Let
me have it.
Yeah.
Let me have it, Jack. But in a situation like this, the Chicago Bears, I don't think any Packers fans expected them to be this type of team prior to the season. So we wanted to ask you, as the Chicago Bears set up to play against the Green Bay Packers for the next 2 weeks, as a Packers fan, are you more worried about the Bears now than you were at the beginning of the season? And then what did you think of the Bears before the season compared to now? What was your thought process about that squad? I think in a game like this upcoming this week, after you, as the Green Bay Packers, take down the Detroit Lions as handedly as you did, I don't feel like anybody should be as worried about the Bears as maybe Packers fans are at this point. Jack, personally, from your experience, does this feel real for the Chicago Bears? And if so, do the Packers have anything to worry about in the NFC North?
Starting to feel real to me. Look, like I said last week, the Packers do control their own destiny. It's very simple. You got 2 games in the next 3 weeks that determine everything. If you can win those 2 games, you're probably getting a very high seed, and you get to play home games. Luckily, we get to play you guys in Lambeau first. I think that's going to be a bit of an advantage. But this is great for the NFC North. I was telling you off air. As a Packer fan, I love this. We are better when the Bears are better. It's no fun going to a Bears Packer game and expecting, okay, we're about to dominate and drop, 28-35 on their heads, and they might score 10 or 15. It does not scare me, but I'm a bit concerned because they did something I don't think the Packers have done to a team like the Eagles. You went in negative, ballpark, and you dominated.
They went out there and like you said, dominated, but also it was just technical. They went out there and they had a game plan, and the game plan didn't work right away. It was having Caleb Williams throw the ball a ton and try to spread out their cornerbacks in order to keep their defensive line from being effective in the pass game. Well, Caleb wasn't throwing the ball very well throughout this game. And Ben Johnson changed the game plan up to just, okay, you know what? running the ball is working. DeAndre Swift has been getting a bunch of carries. Amount of guys out here getting a bunch, and then eventually he ended up being the leading rusher in this game. But it was a situation where, again, you just saw the coaching staff look at the team that they have on the field and adjust their game plan to what was happening, which is something that I think so far this season, Matt LaFleur, up until the past couple of weeks, has struggled with for the Green Bay Packers. He's gone into games with game plans that he has a vision set on. And if it doesn't work out right away, he automatically flips the game plan to just another preset game plan that isn't also going to work. He's not feeling the vibe of the game, if we're being honest, and running with the hot hands a lot. And this is a situation where I think against the Detroit Lions, even against the New York Giants, he found that. He found that groove a little bit. He found that he does trust in his quarterback to make these plays. And how this is a situation where this Green Bay Packers team, despite the Chicago Bears looking like the hot team, look like the more experienced team. Playing against the Detroit Lions on Thursday proved that they went out there, despite being one of the youngest teams in football, they are well coached and are able to win games without being the flashiest team out there, just making the right plays at the right time. That's what the Eagles do to win games. That's what the Chiefs do to win games, and that's how both those teams have Super Bowls.
What did I say last week? The Packers have to steal one from the Bears and just win ugly. It wasn't an ugly win in Detroit, but you just have to do
a clean win.
You have to do the little things correctly, and sometimes that's boring things, and people don't like a 10-7 game against the Eagles, and sometimes you've got to be able to just win those games.
Got to be the team to put up the 10. And I think that's what the Bears are really good at right now, is that despite going down in these games, despite, having these moments in certain games where they do look like a really young team that's really inexperienced, they come back and fight back to the point where they just have enough to win.
So my two links of the game are going to be, can the Packers hold against the run? Because that seems to be their formula. They're going to batter you with the run, and then they're going to open things up with their tight ends and their speedy receivers.
Sometimes you got to do the opposite.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go into a game with the game plan of, you know what? Yeah, I know people expect us to just be pounding the ball, but we have Jordan Love. We have a really strong wide receiver room. Let's go throw the ball right away. Let's see what happens. Let's Sparky put it out there. Let's do a 2-minute drill to start off a game, just to go out there and give them a different look. But as long as you are game planning for the team that's in front of you and not just for the season, I think this Green Bay Packers team looks like one of the best teams in football.
I will make this marked comment. Both these teams are going to be playoff teams. They're going to be exciting.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Either way to watch and enjoy. I think this is great for you. It's great for me. Packer fans haven't had this type of, the Bears did beat us last year. But I think this is a renewed rivalry, which makes me super excited. And I wouldn't want it any other way. Wouldn't want us competing against the Queens or the Lions. I really do think the Bears are who people expected the Lions to be. And that's scary.
For sure. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. And we are powered by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. Head over to the dugout chat. Our guy Q says, "Sup, dudes? Sorry I'm late." Q, you are just in time for some Milwaukee Bucks talk. I know that's your favorite, so we're going to dive into that after this next quick break. Again, I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke. We will be right back. Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports Weekend. I'm Charlie Uczen. That is Jack Pembroke over there on the other side of the glass. And we are live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook and presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. Before we dive into the Bucks here, I just saw a commercial where this company put jalapenos in the soda. Would you try that?
No, sir.
That's not something that's on your bucket list.
I like my jalapenos. I mean, I'm sure it could taste good, like sugar with hot heat, but I like my jalapenos in tacos and meats and
where they belong.
Yeah,
exactly. I don't know.
Call me old fashioned.
I don't know if I try that in soda.
Coke jalapeno coming next.
This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, like we said before. We wanted to dive into some Milwaukee Bucks talk here right before we head to the break. The Milwaukee Bucks once again lose to the New York Knicks last night in a game that was exciting for majority of it, and then the Knicks just kind of pulled away at the end. There was a game where they felt like the Bucks got a little bit tired towards the end of it, and I think this is a situation that when you have a game where Giannis Antetokounmpo comes back into the lineup, you've been on the 6-game losing streak since he's been out of it. It's kind of a little bit of a dismal time. A lot of people, a lot of Bucks fans have still been semi-positive about this. I've tried to be positive about it. I feel like there's still options offensively on this team where they can have enough scoring when Giannis comes back to win them some basketball games. But a game like last night, Jack, showed to me that the defense just is not there and the rebounding just is not there. Two of the things that for the past 3 or 4 seasons has been the problem. And I've blamed it on Damian Lillard in the past, because he's a guy that just can't be the point of attack defender. But now you got guys like Ryan Rollins who should be a little bit better. AJ Green was supposedly improved on defense in the offseason. Gary Trent Jr. in the playoffs last year was a menace on defense. And it just doesn't feel like the same team that's out there, Jack.
It's a skeleton crew on defense. I was telling you, it looks like we're celebrating made shots and, sauntering back on defense to play Matador D. Ole. And it's tough to look down at this list and look at games. There are some close games between 3 or 5 points, and you'd like to think like, okay,
it's teams like the Heat that you're having that against. The Heat aren't exactly the best team in basketball. They're not a bad team. That's a game that you should want to win. It's not like the Trailblazers, who you also lost to, where you felt like you should beat them down. But it just feels like the Bucks are always a step behind defensively. It feels like offensively they're there.
Let's be direct. Offense is not what I'm worried about. I'm worried about a lot of things. I'm worried about defense and how long does Giannis put up with this?
I think that's the biggest question is when does Giannis get upset with this, which I don't think he will. From what I've seen so far this offseason, I know everybody likes to make a big deal about what he says on social media, all these other things. I also think he loves Milwaukee.
Yeah, he does.
I think he loves being here, and I think that nothing about it will change that. And I have said this before, and I fully believe this. When he decides to leave Milwaukee, it'll be for Greece. It won't be for another NBA team.
You're totally right. You said it before even ESPN was putting it out there. Mm-hmm. My Greek cousin, Paul Pembroke, really loved that. He was like, maybe I'll go visit.
There you go.
But I look, they've got to figure out something because it's Doc's job is going to be on the line at a certain point, and you've just got to give. We were saying this off screen. Giannis can't bear the offensive side of, okay, now I need to drop 30, 31 a game, and then now I need to be our top defender and rebounder. You can't do that.
Which, it's not about being like the top defender and rebounder. It's about the way that he plays defense and the way he rebounds is not set to be the number one defender on a team. He's a help defender. He's the greatest help defender in NBA history.
Sure.
And a lot of people hate that sound, but Victor Wembanyama is a help defender. That's his role on defense, and he's really good at it, and he's going to be one of the greatest defenders of all time when his career is all said and done. So let's cool it on this idea that the help defender is a problem for Giannis to be. And then the rebounding, I think the other side of things there is that a lot of Giannis rebounds don't come at the rim. They come from almost the free throw line and in that kind of restricted area over there where guys like Miles Turner should be in the paint grabbing those rebounds first. There's other players that are crashing the glass that should be getting those rebounds first. And it just kind of feels like Giannis just happens to be in the right spot at the right time all the time because he knows how to be that backup rebounder. He knows how to be in that spot and read how it's coming off.
It's like a power guard mentality. He rebounds like a guard.
Exactly. He does very much so. And then he turns around and is able to take the
get
ball
on the
down
fast
court,
break,
get down court. And he's able to do all these amazing things. Right now, it feels like that a lot of people are asking for this Milwaukee Bucks team to go out there and get a second score. Like Sparky says that all the time. Ryan Rollins in this game has a good game. He has 13 points. AJ Green has 18 points. You have Kyle Kuzma off the bench with 20 points. That's 3 guys above double digits there, above 13 points, which is that threshold I have for like a good score.
Let's make Sparky happy, and let's turn it a little bit. They need a 3-and-D guy, a guy who can literally come in and splash some shots for you, but not be a score first guy. Be like a 4th or 5th guy on the team in terms of ability to score, but they need a guy who's a lockdown defender because we just don't have that.
I think that's fair, but I think the other thing you need to bring into this Milwaukee Bucks team is a player that doesn't have an ego, is a player that isn't going to need to change the offense for what they do. And I think that's part of it, is that, like, if you were to bring in a Paul George, who is the quintessential 3-and-D player that you're talking about here, he's that style player at this point in his career, especially if you bring him in, that automatically changes the perception of this team by the front office, by the coaching staff, by Giannis Antetokounmpo. He looks at this and says, you know what? Paul George needs his shot. Paul George needs to be out here and be a second star if I want him to be the second star. This Milwaukee Bucks team doesn't need a second star. Giannis is Superman. He's not Batman. I'm so sick of people giving him the Batman and saying he needs a Robin.
I'm not saying that, but yeah.
He's Superman. He can do this on his own. It's just that sometimes you need a Justice League behind you a little bit. You need a group of smaller heroes that can go out there and 2 or 3 of them can do their job for you on any given nightly basis. And this is a situation where it feels like we're getting that offensively, but then defensively, he is still on an island on his own, that he's not getting that same kind of consistent help that he's getting on offense. And that has to be a problem for this Milwaukee Bucks team.
I'm looking at us right now, 8-12. We're, 2 games back from Chicago. 3 from Boston, 3 from the Sixers at the 8, 9, and 10 position.
Is it crazy that I'm about to say this Bucks team kind of feels like the Chicago Bulls in the past few years?
No, not at all.
Where they just kind of chuck 3-point shots, won't play defense, rely on
decent
their ability
offense,
to outscore other teams to get into the middle of the league.
Yeah.
Like, do we really want to be the Chicago Bulls right now? Is that the organization that you want to be copying their setup and the way that they do things? I'm not sure. This is not a situation that I think the Bucks right now are looking at with Giannis Antetokounmpo and just say, we're okay. We're fine. There has to be changes made, but it's not at the spot that I think people are begging it to be made.
Alarm bells are ringing, Charlie.
Exactly. This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there, and we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. When we come back, we are going to head over to Out of Bounds, where Kevin Fodry, pro disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc, will join the show via video. So stay tuned for that. If you want to hit up at WI Sports Radio on YouTube and Twitter, you can watch it there. We're also live streaming on those apps and on air here with the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke. We will be right back.
hit the shower, grab your coffee, and get ready to attack the weekend with Charlie Uczen and Jack Pembroke as they catch you up on everything Wisconsin sports you may have missed this past week. All before you even finish your breakfast. It's Wisconsin Sports Weekend, brought to you by the Apollo Cafe on Brady Street. 25 years of Greek tradition. Enjoy gyros, souvlaki, fresh salads, and the legendary Zeus burger. Dine in, take out, or get it delivered. Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar of flavor, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
How we doing, folks? How we doing? Welcome back into Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. And we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. Right before we get into our guy Kevin here, I wanted to head back over to the dugout chat where our guy Chad says, trade Giannis at the trade deadline. As much as it's going to hurt and suck the life out of the Bucks organization and fan base, if Giannis leaving is inevitable, let's get the haul in return for him now. Start the rebuild now and hope it doesn't spiral into a decades-long crap basketball. I get where you're coming from. At the same point, when you have a player like Giannis, who's one of the greatest players of all time, this Bucks team isn't dead yet. This Eastern Conference is still extremely weak. It's still pretty wide open. Even though they're sitting all the way down there in the play-in game, it can flip very fast. As long as Giannis is on this team, it's a squad that I think has the ability to dominate no matter what, as long as Giannis is on the court.
Too early for that talk.
Exactly. It's way too early for that talk. We are now going to head over to our StreamYard and our live stream on YouTube, on Twitter. We have our guy, Kevin Fodry. He is a pro disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc Golf. Jack is a member of Cardinal Disc Golf over there. So we got a couple studs over here on the disc golf court. Kevin, how you doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Thank you so much for coming on. This is a segment that we call Out of Bounds. It's where we dive into sports that may not be as popular as some of the big four, the footballs, the baseballs, the basketballs, all of that good stuff. And we wanted to dive into what's happening across the state of Wisconsin, across the country when it comes to things like disc golf. So how did you get into professional disc golf, Kevin? And when did you start? What was that kind of transition like from playing it maybe just casually to a professional level?
Yeah, I mean, I played like just for fun with like one or two discs for years with my buddies. And then when I went to college, I kind of stopped playing. And I got really in late high school and early college into playing Ultimate Frisbee. I got to be pretty good at that, played at a pretty high level for that. And then I just started getting hurt like every season in Ultimate. And it was never major injuries. And I was like, I just know they're coming. So I'm just going to try to like not have that happen. And so I went into disc golf and I think I got like the second or third in my very first tournament I ever played.
That's
and then I won.
Yeah,
I won the second tournament I ever played. And so I was like, oh, maybe I'm kind of good at this. And so, started playing pretty much like right away. I told my wife, that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make money for doing this, but I said, give me like 1 year to just like really try doing it and seeing if I can figure it out. And 1 year into it, I realized I was like, okay, maybe it won't be like you're going to make all your money from playing, but there are so many ways to be involved in the sport that now I do make quite a bit of money playing, but I also am super involved. Own a disc golf company. I work with disc golf clients. And then I also I'm the director of marketing for Gateway. So very involved. Basically disc golf is like all day, every day for me, most of the days. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool. It was a quick transition, only a couple years. I didn't play my first tournament until the end of 2020. And so I really only played, I think maybe like 6 or 7 tournaments in 2021. And then 2022 is when I was like, okay, I'm going to start playing tournaments. And I got like 7th at Amateur Worlds. And I was like, okay, maybe
that's really good, Charlie.
Yeah. I actually that year I went to Am Worlds. So driving down, I had like 5 other guys in my car all playing, and we blew a tire. And so we didn't get down in time to practice the course. And we were playing this course that was like super long with a ton of artificial out of bounds. So I didn't know what it looked like first round. And I went out of bounds like 13 times. And so I was in like 160th place after the first day. And then I shot like super hot all 4 of the other days to get chase card final day and finish in 7th. So I was like,
incredible,
man, if only I would have not sucked the first day, I could have maybe.
Yeah.
It's like the lethal shooter guy on Instagram where he's like, "Oh, I see it now.
Yeah,
After
I
you missed
understand
the
it
first
now.
shot, it's the same exact thing. I see it now. I got it now." So, from your personal experience, you had that transition from playing it casually to professionally. So you had that kind of experience with Ultimate Frisbee in between. I actually used to work for the Chicago Union, one of the professional Ultimate Frisbee teams for the UFL or across the league, and this was a very kind of in-depth situation where they have these full organizations already built up. It's all across the country, and that league keeps growing every single year. Is disc golf kind of in that same boat for the professional side of things? Are they growing as quickly as Ultimate is, or is this a situation where because it's a little bit of a different sport, it's more personal? How different is that between the two sports?
Yeah, I think disc golf is actually probably growing faster than Ultimate. It's one of the reasons why I switched over. I didn't really see any path to have a sustainable income from Ultimate. I was probably better at Ultimate than I am at disc golf. And if you look at some of the top Ultimate Frisbee players in the world, they still have jobs outside of it. Like one that comes to mind is like Brody transitioned from Ultimate to disc golf. And then Marquise Brownlee is like the number one tech influencer on YouTube. He's like a top 10 player in the world in Ultimate, and he still has to have a different job because it doesn't really pay that good. And so, disc golf is similar, like super top heavy. The top 8 players in the world make super good money, and then it teeters off pretty fast after that. But there's definitely space in the sport. I think it's interesting to see how it's growing. I don't think that the pro tour is as valuable as some people might think it is, but I think it's more valuable than the general public thinks it is. Because I see a lot of people say like, well, I don't really care what pro is throwing what disc. But then like if there isn't a pro tour or like even weeks off, you notice a dip in the entire industry, especially being involved in 2 different disc golf companies. We know when there's people not buying and playing as often. And so I definitely think it's interesting. It's definitely more intertwined. The average Ultimate player probably doesn't know or watch professional Ultimate, but the average disc golfer probably does.
I guess, Kevin, one of my questions for you is, when did you see that you could start Cardinal with Lane?
Yeah. Cardinal actually started out as kind of a joke.
I did not know that.
There was a guy, I won't name him, but there was a guy in the disc golf industry. And when I first started working in disc golf, I was making graphics, and there was really only like 2 or 3 of us making graphics in disc golf. And we were trying to like elevate the presence of the sport, make it look more professional. And so I was doing hundreds of graphics for free for pros just to make the sport look better. And I remember this guy just started ripping all of us off. And I was like, what is happening? Like he would straight up just like take the graphic we made, put a different player in it, and say it was his. And it was like, and so we were like, I made a group chat with like all the graphic designers in disc golf. And I was like, hey, let's all block this guy so he stops stealing our stuff. Or at least it's harder for him to get it. So we all did that. And then it was actually Lane's idea. Lane said, he was like, oh, let's, while we're at it and we have all these designers in here, let's make some disc golf apparel that doesn't suck. And it's true. Disc golf apparel was terrible.
By the way, thank you. I love wearing Cardinal stuff. It is the epitome and zenith of gear for disc golf.
Yeah, I legitimately, trying to be as unbiased as possible, I legitimately think we do have the best gear in disc golf. And so it's really easy to promote it when I like actually believe that. And so, sorry, a little sick here, but so we started it kind of as a joke. He said that in the chat, and I messaged him outside of it, and I was like, let's just do it. And he's like, really? And then like a week later, I sent him the paperwork filing for the LLC, and he's like, oh gosh, he's like, we're actually doing it. And he told me yesterday, his wife, now at the time it was his fiance, I believe, she was like, well, you're in it now. You got to do it. You got to commit to it. And so we were awesome. Like, all right. And yeah, we're at 2 years and 8 months as a business in December. And so we're not really that long in it, but I mean, I would say we're probably arguably, I'd like to believe, at least not top 2, maybe number 1 apparel company in disc golf now. So I think that's pretty sick. And then we've had some benefits, obviously, like me playing pro. I played 8 pro tour events last year. like I have a lot of relationship with a lot of the top pros in the sport. And so that's really helped our growth just because we've been able to partner with a lot of people. And maybe I would have been able to get that without it, but I had a lot more direct access to them. And I was friends with a lot of them. And so some of the players were a little bit more lenient towards just being like, yeah, let me just join the team. So.
Sure. Talking with Kevin Fodry, professional disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc Golf. You can follow him on social media at FlyHyzer. Hyzer spelled Hyzer. You can follow him over there where he's showing off all the cool gear that Cardinal has, all this great stuff that he's doing on the course. You talk about the merch that you guys are putting out there, the type of equipment. What do you need to get into disc golf right away? Is it super easy? Just grab a couple discs, go out onto a course? Do you need special kinds of shoes? Is there a uniform that you kind of have to wear? What's the deal with all that?
Yeah, it's super casual. I think it's like one of the lowest barrier to entry sports you can play. I really try to contribute as much as I possibly can every year to like local community, especially like inner city or underprivileged areas where maybe they don't have as much access to like nice sports facilities. Disc golf is very accessible to everybody because almost every course is free. I mean, there's very few, I would say 85% plus of courses are free to play because they're on public parks. And you can get a disc for as low as $10, maybe for a factory second. And you could go out and play. For the first few years I played, I literally had one disc and that was it. And so if somebody's looking to get into playing, I mean, I would naturally plug them because I work with them, but I would go to gatewaydiscsports.com, pick up like a factory second 3-pack. I think they're doing a special right now. It's 3 for $15. So you get your whole set you'd ever need to play, putter, mid-range. Yeah, putter, mid-range, and driver. You could go out and play, and it would cost you $15. And so, yeah, do that. Download UDisc. Super cool app. Shows where all the courses are. When you download it the first time, you're going to be like, whoa, there's that many disc golf courses around me? Because there are tens of thousands of them in the U.S. And
especially
so
the Midwest.
I think I have 16. Yeah, I have 16 courses within 35 minutes of my house. And so there's a lot of opportunity to play. So yeah, definitely go check it out. And then, yeah, I was going to say like, you don't have to have special shoes. You don't have to have special gear. You don't even have to wear nice jerseys. This is all the stuff that, once you start playing, it's a pretty addicting sport. You're going to want to probably get into it a little bit. So definitely check us out. But I mean, even we advertise to disc golf because we're disc golfers, but I mean, we've had quite a few people that said that they buy our stuff for golf. They buy our stuff for basketball. All kinds of stuff, just because our material is so stretchy and so breathable. It doesn't ever wear or fade or
it wicks like really well too.
Yeah, it wicks really well. It's 100% full sublimation too. So like you can wash this 10,000 times. It's going to look the exact same every time. So
I have to plug Gateway Disc. My first ever putter was a Wizard, and Charlie will laugh because my nickname on the show is the Wisconsin Warlock. So if you want some of the best putters in the world and some of the best discs, Gateway does have quite the few discs you can fall in love with.
Yeah, we're making our best discs we've ever made right now, and the Wizard is, I believe, the #1 putter ever made. It was also my first putter, and my first 2 hole-in-ones both came with the
okay.
Wizard, so.
Oh, nice. That's very cool. So when Jack comes into the studio and he has a disc golf tournament after the show or this weekend, he brings his giant cart of like, it feels like 100 discs. That
I've got way too many discs.
He's got a lot in there. Yeah. What is the traditional amount that like a professional is bringing around like that? What are the different kinds of discs? Is it only a putter, a mid-range, and a driver? Or are there even more than that? What is like the ceiling for how much they go in depth with the discs?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely different ways to play. That's one of the beautiful things about disc golf is I feel like in golf, pretty much everybody carries the same clubs. But in disc golf, you can get by with as many or as little discs as you want. It just depends on what you're comfortable with. So I typically try to bag less molds and more discs. And so like my main driver I throw is called the Spell from Gateway, and I bag 6 of them. And so that they're just various degrees of worn and beat in and things like that. And so they fly a little bit different, maybe here or there. But I know how that disc flies. It's a really dependable and good made mold. And so I know that it's like, it has a lot of integrity in the flight. And so I just try to throw as many of that as possible. But usually what I tell people is if you're really trying to get into it and you want to learn how to play, I just tell people figure out what, one disc for each direction you're trying to go. So like if you're going putter, you can go overstable. That'll go to the left when you throw it right hand, backhand, straight, and then understable. So it'll go to the right when you throw a backhand, and then do that for each thing. So putter, mid-range, fairway driver, and figure out what you like, and then you can make the shape. So I was giving a lesson to somebody the other day, and I was telling them, I'm like, depending on the disc you throw, like they're pretty new. I was like, I can throw the disc the exact same way and have a completely different flight. And so I threw one, and one like went super hard to the left, and I threw it the exact same way, and one went super hard to the right. And he was like, oh, he's like, I didn't even like, that doesn't cross my mind that I can throw the exact same way over and over again. And depending on the disc I throw, it'll change the flight characteristics. It's really interesting. If you've never watched disc golf before, like it wouldn't make sense to you being like, he just did the exact same thing and it did something completely different. And the discs look almost identical. Like you have to kind of know disc golf to know the differences in it, but the science behind it is really interesting on how it the gravitational pull and the aerodynamics of it changes the flight. It's really cool.
Physics is fun. Okay.
It's thrilling. It's thrilling.
It is.
Talking with Kevin Fadri, pro disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc Golf. You can follow him on Twitter at FlyHyzer. It's FLYHYZER. We are Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. I got one more question for you, Kevin.
Yep.
For people that are looking to get started into disc golf, what are a couple tips, tricks that you have for them starting to get going here? And what types of advice would you give to these people that maybe want to take it pro too as well?
Yeah. I would say with pro, to go pro, I would set your expectations low. And then if you exceed them, that's great. I can't tell you how many people I know that come in and they're pretty low level amateur and they're like, well, I'm going to play on the pro tour someday. And I'm like, well, if that's your goal, that's less than 1% of people. Like it's going to be tough. Like I'm in the top less than 1% of players in the world, and I don't tour full time. Like it's just really hard. And so playing more regionally and local tournaments and stuff like that to like figure out how. But the number one tip I always give people is you throw a slower disc and learn how to throw with understable discs. And if you ask any disc golfer, they'll tell you what understable means, but learn how to throw with understable disc, because if you learn how to do the angles correctly and you can make an understable disc work, you'll be able to throw an overstable disc or a straight disc very easily. So start with a slow. I usually say putters and mids. You don't need to, everybody instantly when they get in disc golf, they grab a distance driver because it looks cool and it feels cool.
Speed 14.
Yes, you will throw worse. Just throw mid ranges and putters. Most people, I would probably venture to say 97% of people in the world don't even have the arm speed to truly throw a max distance driver. You can make it work, and there's uses for it below that arm speed, but mid ranges are really good. So check out an Element from Gateway or a Mystic would both be very good starter discs. Probably two of the best I would ever recommend to somebody.
Awesome. I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to have to get out on the course here with Jack.
I will force you out there.
Here, throw a couple discs. I think I can.
I think you'd be good. You got some finesse to you.
A little bit. I don't know. My shoulder may give out a little bit.
General athleticism translates pretty well.
It does.
Fair enough. Fair enough. We'll take that. Kevin, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything you want to plug on your way out here?
Yeah, just go check out cardinaldiscgolf.com. We're running a sweet Black Friday deal. You can use code BlackBear for 20% off right now until Monday night. So, and the rest of the year, use Jack's code, follow him, and
Pembroke, just like the last name. Easy enough.
There you go.
Real easy. Kevin, thank you so much for coming on today.
Kevin, thanks for everything.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys.
There he is, Kevin Fadri, professional disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc Golf over there. He was fantastic. Again, this has been Out of Bounds with Wisconsin Sports Weekend, where we dive into a sport, a side of a sport that you may never have heard of or are interested in learning of all across the state of Wisconsin. Our goal is to bring everything athletic to you right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. We are going to come back with Warlocks Locks, your favorite segment, my favorite segment, and of course the Warlocks' favorite segment. Once again, it is Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. We will be right back. That sounds a little more right there.
Little zombie before we go to the Warlocks Locks. Okay.
Exactly. You know, we gotta have a little fun.
You kept it Irish. I like it.
Exactly. Yeah, it works still. It is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And we are also presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. I'm Charlie Uczen. That is Jack Pembroke over there. And the scary, spooky, kind of ethereal music means it is time for the Warlocks Locks, where my guy Jack, the Wisconsin Warlock Pembroke, over there will dive into his magical cheesehead cauldron, where he will draw 4 cards of 4 NFL players playing this weekend, and we will help predict how they will do in fantasy for you and your fantasy teams. Jack, why don't we go and make the first pick here, my man?
Okay, we're going to dig deep into the cheese bag here. Kyren Williams.
Kyren Williams playing for the LA Rams, one of the hottest teams in football, probably the best team in football as of right now.
Most complete.
Exactly. I would say they're the best team in football.
They are.
I don't think there's really another team that touches them right now. They are taking on the Carolina Panthers this Sunday, a team that has kind of overexceeded expectations while also still not being a very good football team. They're fun to watch occasionally. This is a game where I think Kyren Williams has a really big chance of dominating a run defense from the Carolina Panthers that hasn't exactly been super great this season. He's a player that I think so far this year, when a lot of people expected Blake Corum to get some more carries, has been able to fend that off. The other side of things, though, is that the Rams throw the ball more than what feels like any other team,
especially in the red zone.
So this is a situation where you're kind of hoping that Kyren Williams against a team with a more poor defense can get something going here, Jack.
Yeah. So if you got Kyren Williams in your team, I am going to predict or prognosticate he's going to get somewhere between 15 and 16 carries, let's say. And you're going to be looking at around 65 plus yards rushing. That's what you want. And then you probably want a touchdown. ESPN and the books have him at half a touchdown chance. More recently, he has been giving up some touches to Blake Corum in the red zone, which is a little bit worrisome as we're going into, the last 2 weeks of your fantasy football season. But I think Kyren Williams is going to be a start for me. It's a not so confident start, but it's like, hey, if he's one of your top 3 running backs, you need to probably play him.
So is it then a RB1, RB2 starter?
He's an RB2. He's an
RB2. Okay. All right. I like that.
And I think he's going to give you in PPR somewhere around 15 points this week.
I'll take that, especially later on in the season here where you got a lot of teams losing players to injury. This is a spot where you could plug him into your lineup and, kind of a guaranteed 15 points, it feels like, from a player like this each week. Jack, who's up next?
Okay. Let's find out. Get a good shake here. Okay. Cedric Tillman. Okay, at the start of the year, that might have been a nice look. Wow, if you are going with Cedric Tillman in your team, I will go light a candle at Jesu Church at Marquette for you because you need prayers. Cedric Tillman with Shedeur Sanders, I just don't. There's a lot of players that are going to get Shedeur's attention, which I think like Harold Fannin Jr. and maybe David Njoku, Quishon Judkins, and a Dylan Sampson, who seems to be stealing a lot of those pass catches out of the backfield. I think if it's definitely a sit with Cedric Tillman. I don't think he puts up more than 10 points.
Yeah, we take a look over at the Cleveland Browns roster so far this season. Harold Fannin Jr., their rookie tight end, has been by far the number 1 target, 462 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. Cedric Tillman, you got to go down about 5 spots on their roster to find him down there with 17 catches for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Cleveland Browns look to take on the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday this weekend, a matchup with one of the hottest teams in football right now, a team that is getting healthy in San Francisco. This feels like a game where the Cleveland Browns offense could for sure be shut down pretty handedly. At the same time, Shedeur has shown over the past couple of weeks that he can definitely bring a little bit more explosiveness to this offense for this team, or at least give them that boost. I think Cedric Tillman is one of those guys that can definitely feed off that explosiveness if given the opportunity. So yeah, he may not be the number 1 target, but he's a guy that I can expect to get maybe 3 catches for like 85 yards and a touchdown.
To me, if you have to throw him in your lineup, he's someone who maybe could give you a deep ball touchdown, and then you're living high on the hog because you didn't really use a lot in your daily fantasy to get him, or you got lucky with a guy who was probably projected 8 or 10 points and he gave you like a deep touchdown.
And you know what? Some teams will take that at this point in the season. Again, you got a lot of teams that are facing injuries, especially at the wide receiver spot lately. That's been a position across the league that's kind of taken a hit a little bit over the past couple of weeks. This is a situation where, again, if you need a quick spot start from somebody, he could be a good option there. Probably a couple other options out on the free agency wire that you could look at too.
Jack, we'll sit on him.
Third up here.
Okay.
On Warlocks.
Third on Warlocks. Chris Olave.
Okay, this is a guy that we had, I think, on our first ever Warlocks locks. He's a player that so far this season has been consistent enough with a team that obviously is not as talented around him in the New Orleans Saints. Tyler Shue is out there playing quarterback for them once again. Shuck, I still am struggling saying his name. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be a starting quarterback for very much longer, so that may not be.
You won't have to tassel with that anymore. I look, it's Juwan Johnson, and it seems to be Chris Olave are the guys you want receiving the ball on that team. It makes you wonder if Chris Olave actually had a quarterback this year. Could he be putting up numbers like a JSN or a Drake London? I still trust in Chris Olave. You were happy that Alvin Kamara got injured because it's just going to add the tonnage of routes and looks from Tyler Shue. I think Chris Olave is giving you around 16 or 17 points on the floor, his fantasy floor. His ceiling could be as good as like 23, 24 points. Look to him get 9 or 10 targets pretty easily. He's probably going to get 6 or 7 catches. Let's say he goes over 70 yards and a touchdown maybe.
The Saints are taking on the Miami Dolphins this week, another one of the worst teams in football. Yeah. It's really kind of interesting seeing the situations that both Chris Olave is in and then Jalen Waddle on the other side of things in Miami as well. Both these guys not playing with the best quarterback play right now, but both of them are able to kind of go out there and still able to put up a decent amount of stats. What do you think the ceiling is for not only Chris Olave, but a player like Jalen Waddle? Maybe if you head over to Cleveland, a player like Jerry Jeudy at points this season has had that type of ceiling. Is it all it takes is just a quarterback who is consistent, or do you need more than that for these wide receivers to have even more of a break?
To me, it's got to be 2 things in this game specifically. Speaking about both guys, is it's going to play well in that both teams are going to be throwing the ball. Now, do you have to worry about Devon Achane?
Out of the backfield, he's been up.
Yeah, he is well loved on your fantasy team. He might be the king of fantasy this year. But I think you look and you hope that the Saints and the Dolphins get into a barn burner of a matchup where it looks like a Madden game. 400 yards throwing and.
Well, it's bad when you look at like the Miami Dolphins and their top 2 leading tacklers are already over 115 tackles each. That means their defense is just giving up a ton of completions, a ton of runs past the 3-yard line of like past the line of scrimmage. You look over at the New Orleans Saints, they're not much better. Demario Davis, who's consistently one of the better linebackers in the league, already has 102 tackles for them. I mean, this just feels like a game primed to be a high scoring, but also just not a very good game.
No defense.
Chris Olave can definitely benefit from that. I think this is a guy that for sure has a lot of talent, maybe deserves to be on a better team, but he loves New Orleans. He always says he wants to stay there, wants to be there. No, every guy says that. But
to me, he's a top 10 wide receiver this week. You got to start him. And hopefully he rings true and gives you, over 17 points.
Love to hear it, Jack. Who is last up here on Warlocks?
Okay. Good shake. Get a good card.
Let's see it.
Oh, Justin J. Jetters.
All right.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson will be playing with rookie quarterback Max Brosmer out there in Minnesota. Could be a little bit of a struggle.
It has not been fun for Justin Jefferson this year.
Nothing could be as bad as J.J. McCarthy, Jack.
Yeah, I feel like, what was that stat? If he had spiked the ball every play, he still would have had a better QBR. Yeah, so that's hurtful. But I think Justin Jefferson gets right for you this week. If you drafted him really early, you're hoping he gets right. You probably need him to make the playoffs and get into the playoffs. So I'm thinking, let's give Justin Jefferson an easy line. He's going to get you 16 plus in PPR. I think if this quarterback's worth his salt in that he wants to retain a job and a position on this team, he's going to be looking for him early and often.
You have to. I think a majority of that game against the Packers, where the Vikings were just struggling so often, was partially the fact that Justin Jefferson's wide open and J.J. McCarthy can't get the ball to him. Whether it's J.J. McCarthy's inability to or the offensive line not blocking, this is a game where Brosmer has to really make it a focal point for himself as a young quarterback trying to make a name, that he needs to feed the ball to a Justin Jefferson. That's
security blanket.
That's the guy that's going to make you look good. And I think O'Connell, the head coach, Kevin O'Connell, has to look at this game plan and say, you know what? I have to help Max Brosmer step up here, and I have to put Justin Jefferson into the right positions, which I think he knows how to do. This is a game against the Seattle Seahawks, which is also one of the hardest teams in football to beat at this moment, but they flustered a little bit offensively. I think if the Vikings get enough chances on offense, this could be a situation where you see kind of a wild game where Baker Mayfield comes into Carolina with 2 days of practice and can ball out, or Los Angeles. This kind of feels the same thing where Brosmer can go out there and just trust the weapons that are on the field and ball out against a Seattle Seahawks team that has been really hot. If you look at the other side for the Seattle Seahawks, the leading receiver in the NFL is Jackson Smith and Jigba. Do you feel like Justin Jefferson has already kind of given up that title as the number one receiver in the league after one season of this guy balling out on the other sideline?
Well, I looked up. There's not many names that have over 1,300 yards.
He is, by the way, already the leading receiver for a single season in Seattle Seahawks history, and he's on pace for over 2,000 yards.
Yeah, and the other thing that struck me was Josh Gordon had 1,400 yards by week 14. What if? I think you do. Justin Jefferson has kind of relented, but it's not his fault, or his performance is not all on him. But at the end of the day, I think if you're Justin Jefferson, you think, man, if I could just have that same quarterback and we didn't send him away to the Seahawks, I would have been putting up those numbers this year.
Do you think it is strictly like Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, and J.J. McCarthy just is not that good? Or is there just a certain archetype of quarterback that fits within this Minnesota Vikings offense that J.J. McCarthy is not?
I think J.J. McCarthy's not there yet.
Okay.
Where you have the other quarterbacks that have come through that are seasoned and that have either played on really bad teams and
have hit that bottom point.
Yeah. And so I think the reason there is, look, do I know if JJ McCarthy is going to be good or not? It doesn't look great right now, but it's very, very early in his career. I do think that you have to look at the organization, and the Vikings need to really question themselves. And were we being cheap and saying, this quarterback who just gave us 14 wins, ship him off to Seattle?
Well, and I think that's a really good point that you bring up, is the fact that Sam Darnold and like a Daniel Jones, Josh Dobbs, who came in here, balled out, even Kirk Cousins to some point, have all hit low points before they got to the Vikings. And I think right now what we're seeing is J.J. McCarthy hit that low point. It's about how he bounces back with his Vikings team, because the Vikings are really good at getting guys to bounce back. Can J.J. McCarthy be that, or the fact that he's already on the Vikings kind of sub that out? Does that get snuffed out because he's already here?
I think if you're a Vikings fan, you hope Kevin O'Connell can right the ship. Kevin O'Connell's a quarterback whisperer, as they say. So I think, look, his first 2 years have been very tumultuous, injury prone. He's got to have a healthy offseason and an offseason to meld with all the different players, and for them to try and figure out, what that identity of that offense is. I fear that they don't have an identity at running back. They don't have an identity at the offensive line. And those are all big question marks to help a quarterback get to where he needs to go.
For sure. And I think you look at the Green Bay Packers and bringing it back to Wisconsin, that's what they've done, is they helped build out that offensive line last season. And now this season you saw it kind of fluster a little bit because guys got hurt, or players just weren't playing up to the standard that they expected of. And they went and got a run game. And Jordan Love, you can see the way he's started to flourish a little bit in some of these games where you see the effect of having that kind of confidence in the team around you can have. Right now, it just doesn't seem like, to your point, J.J. McCarthy has the confidence in the team around him. And I think that's hurting him a little bit. That has been Warlocks Locks with the Wisconsin Warlock, Jack Pembroke, over there. Kyron Williams was the first pick over there, running back for the LA Rams. He says to start him. Cedric Tillman, wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns, is a sit. Chris Olave, wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints, is a start. And Justin Jefferson for the Minnesota Vikings is a start. that has been Wisconsin, or the Warlocks Locks here on Wisconsin Sports Weekend and the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by Potawatomi Sportsbook. We are also presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. When we come back, it'll be time to crawl. It's a good song, but that doesn't sound very right, Jack.
You know that's a breakup song?
It is?
About the uncle on Full House. He dated her in real life. Yeah.
Uncle Jesse? Or
no, not Uncle Jesse, the comedian.
Oh, I don't remember his name. I just remember
Yeah,
Uncle
no,
Jesse.
literally, that was true story. They were a power couple of the 90s.
Interesting. All right, I did not know that. I was not born in the 90s. I know that's
It's okay.
Some people feel old.
We won't hold that against you.
That's okay. This is Wisconsin Sports Weekend live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I'm Charlie Uczen. That's Jack Pembroke over there. And we are presented by Apollo Cafe, Milwaukee's Greek superstar flavor, right there on historic Brady Street. When the jig comes on, you know what that means. It is time for Wisconsin Sports Weekend's Pub Crawl, where we dive through into the world of sports, go back and forth to share some of our top stories that we saw and heard. Most of the times it's sports. Sometimes we get a little science. Sometimes we get a little history in there, courtesy of Professor Pembroke over there.
We got some science today.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. I love to hear that. I'll get us off started right here. Today, this afternoon on FS1, check out Wisconsin versus Minnesota as Wisconsin tries to do the impossible and win 5 games this season, which I don't think anybody saw coming here for this Wisconsin Badgers team. They've had some great games, some great upsets over Washington, who was ranked when they beat them, Illinois last week, taking down Brett Bielema, the former Wisconsin Badgers head coach. This is a rivalry game. They're playing for the Paul Bunyan Axe. It's always a lot of fun to watch it just because of that. But with this implication of Luke Fickell keeping his job and finally getting this team going, I mean, I would love to see this season end in a win, Jack.
I would love to see the Axe. Like, look, when I went to Madison, it wasn't a question of, are we going to demolish the Gophers and bring back Paul Bunyan's Axe? I used to love hearing from my friends from Minnesota, oh, this is our year. This is our year. It's been some dark times.
Some dark times, but also lately it's been some bright times.
There's some silver lining at the end of the season, and it seems like he's getting the defense going, and it seems like we're starting to figure out stuff. Look, let's get this win. Let's use it for recruiting, and let's get a quarterback, please.
Exactly. I predicted before the season 6 wins, so if they go out and get 5 wins, they'll make me not look as stupid as
I had five, but I didn't think it was possible.
Did not think it was possible. Jack, what do you got up next on the Pub Crawl here, my man?
Packers finally beat the Lions during a waxent crescent moon, which, I was worried about, Charlie, because the Lions were previously 3-0 during the waxent crescent moon.
Who is keeping track of these stats?
Some moon guy out there.
Some moon guy out there. That's crazy. I mean, there's probably some science behind it. Maybe some guys play better. I know, like, some women kind of base that they're dating.
Yeah. Well,
I'm sure there's some guys out there that do
maybe I need to start basing my fantasy football draft schedule off moon cycles. But
maybe. More
importantly, a guy who plays for the Packers is still undefeated during the Toyota-thon, and that's more important and more science to me.
Mm-hmm, yep. Jordan Love, Toyota-thon, just legend. He's also 3-0 on Thanksgiving, which gives him the most wins on Thanksgiving for a Packers quarterback since the 1950s. Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre both only had 2 Thanksgiving wins on their record there. So a lot of fun Thanksgiving facts for the Packers' big win over the Lions this past Thursday. If we head over to the college basketball side of things, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Wisconsin Badgers and Marquette Golden Eagles over there. They both had a little bit of a rough day yesterday afternoon. If we head over to the Wisconsin Badgers, it was a game against TCU, another really strong team so far this season that I think has started off hotter than a lot of people expected, while the Badgers have kind of faltered a little bit at the beginning here. They lost to number 9 BYU last week and then lost 74-63 to the Horned Frogs. This is a situation where they don't look as tough as they did last season, but you see a lot of kind of the small things happening for them. John Blackwell seems to have taken over as their top scorer. Austin Rapp the other night was phenomenal, but from 3, you're starting to see it kind of come together. They're playing here. Jack.
They're going to mesh. Look, college basketball is a long season. Are they Purdue right now? No. And that's kind of, the upper echelon of the Big Ten right now. They just need to get into Big Ten play and win tough games. And if they can find a way to meld and get better as we get into January, that's what I want to see. This team, to me right now, is up in the air. They could be a Cinderella Sweet 16 team and be a great story for this program, or they could be like a middling team that maybe just wins 1 game in the tournament.
We will see. On the other side of Wisconsin basketball, we got Marquette down here in Milwaukee, and they are struggling even more. They're beating the teams they're supposed to beat. But anybody that's better than them, they are losing to. They beat U Albany, which didn't even know that is how you say that school's name. Southern, Little Rock, Central Michigan. Too bad they're losing to Indiana and Maryland and Dayton and Oklahoma. All the teams that they're actually going to potentially see in a tournament.
Teams are also recruiting against too.
This is kind of a situation where the Marquette Golden Eagles maybe need to change their approach to how they recruit, to how the transfer portal is taken advantage of, because right now they don't use it. It's all recruiting, and Shaka Smart seems like he's fallen behind at least this season.
He's being a little obstinate and maybe needs to open the door to the portal.
We will see what happens. Jack, what do you got up next on the pub?
We've got some science, some more science. We threw some moon knowledge in there for all those that really needed that. But German sauerkraut, enzymes and bacteria, you know, we're a German type state. We love our sauerkraut and brats. Been shown to cure anxiety disorders in 6 weeks compared to, any type of pharmaceutical drug.
Yeah, that's really cool. I also looked this up while you were talking about that there. A lot of fermented foods are really good for your mood and kind of helping boost your emotional kind of bandwidth throughout a day. So sauerkraut, maybe some pickled stuff. You can go out there. There's going to be lots of options there for you to help out. So
and
that's
people are pickling this time of year in the Midwest,
There you go. I mentioned my next one a little bit earlier in the show, but I want to bring it up again here. JJ McCarthy is once again out with a concussion right now in that concussion protocol. Starting for the Minnesota Vikings will be rookie Max Brosmer. Played for Minnesota, so he's staying within his state. This should be a fun game to kind of see what they can do and to kind of truly see, is this JJ McCarthy or is this Kevin O'Connell and the offense that they're running right now, the rest of the talent on the field. I'm really excited to watch that game so far this weekend, especially with the Packers and Bears already done. Should be a lot of fun. Jack, last up on the pub crawl here, my man.
So I'm going to go with a crystal cheese ball prediction for our little parlays. We've got Stafford, 250 plus passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. Let's go with a Devin Neal anytime touchdown. And then your boy, Devon A-Chain, let's get an anytime touchdown and 65 plus rushing yards.
All right. I really like that. That sounds like a good lineup that I can rock with here. And I'm not even a betting guy. And you've worked pretty well with these. Should I throw one more in there for you?
Dude, I love it. You killed it last week.
TJ Hawkinson touchdown.
Okay, let's do it.
I'm throwing that in there. Anytime touchdown for TJ Hawkinson in this game. It has been Wisconsin Sports Weekend, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Thank you all to joining us on the Dugout Chat over there. Thank you so much to Kevin Fodry, professional disc golfer and co-owner of Cardinal Disc Golf, for joining us in the 10 o'clock segment. Go back, rewind the episode, go back on YouTube, Twitter. You can find the podcast both on there in video form and watch that interview with our guy, Kevin. Jack, thank you again so much for being here. As always,
always good.
Have a great rest of your weekend. Everybody drive safe out there. It's going to be snowing for the rest of the day, all the way through tomorrow morning. So it is going to be scary on the roads. We wish you the best of luck for the rest of the weekend. And as always, go Badgers.
Go Badgers.
We haven't said that a lot. Go Badgers.